Dear students, let us have the explanations of the stanzas of this poem. Stanza number 1, lines 1 to 6. Let us read out the lines of the text. The little old house was out with a little new shed. In front at the edge of the road where the traffic sped. A roadside stand that too pathetically bled. It would not be fair to say for a dole of bread, but for some of the money, the cash whose flow supports the flower of cities from sinking and withering faint. Dear students, the poet here says that the occupants of the little old house have extended the shed in front around the edge of the road where traffic passes by. Now it would be unfair to state means here say, that the shack owners wanted a charity of bread, but nevertheless they seemed to implore the passers-by to stop and buy something from the shack. These deprived people long for the feel of the currency, the circulation of which flourishes the city folks. Dear students, let us have the explanation of lines 7 to 15. Before it, we are going to read out the lines of the text. The polished traffic passed with a mind ahead, or if ever aside a moment, then out of sorts, at having the landscape marred with the artless paint. Here marred means destroyed, of signs that with N turned wrong and S turned wrong, offered for sale wild berries in wooden quarts. Quarts means here just like bottles, or crook-necked golden squares with silver warts. Squares, a kind of vegetable, a kind of just guard, or beauty rest in beautiful mountain scene. You have the money, but if you want to be mean, the poet discusses over here, but unfortunately, the refined traffic means here the rich people, whizzed past unmindful of the shack, or if by chance any stopped, it would be with a feeling of reproach at this blot on the picturesque landscape. They are very perturbed. Perturbed means here very disturbed to see the unimpressive and toppled of signboards. The shack offered for sale wild berries in a wooden quarter of a gallon. The unqualitative local produce is highlighted with the uses of words like crook-necked, squares with silver warts. Further explanation is the place also offered a blissful stay in the lap of nature for the ones who had money. Angry at the callous attitude, callous means here cruel, attitude of the so-called polished traffic. So-called polished traffic here, ironical reproach. The poet commands them to move ahead, oblivious of the roadside stand. Next lines are lines 16 to 22. Why keep your money this crossly and go along? The hurt to the scenery wouldn't be my complaint, so much as the trusting sorrow of what is unsaid. Here far from the city we make our roadside stand. Here far from the city, in this line there is alliteration, and ask for some city money to feel in hand, to try if it will not make our being expand, and give us The life of the moving pictures promise. Dear students, the poet explains here, the poet's concern is not about the blemish on the landscape, but regarding the unvented sorrow of the shed owners. Expressing the viewpoint of these people, the poet converts their ardent desire to handle some city money, which may perhaps elevate their sufferings, as sometimes promised in movies. The political party in power actually deprive them of a prosperous life. Dear students, let us have the explanations of lines number 23 to 31. The lines are that the party in power is said to be keeping from us. It is in the news that all these pitiful kin means here relatives, are to be bought out and mercifully gathered in to live in villages next to the theatre and the store, where they won't have to think for themselves anymore. While greedy good doers, here greedy good doers, there is paradoxical statement, and even in greedy good doers there is alliteration, beneficent beasts of prey, swarm over their lives, enforcing benefits that are calculated to soothe them out of their wits, and by teaching them how to sleep, they sleep all day. Dear students, the poet says over here, he quotes the news which highlights the education and relocation of the poor villagers to the vicinity of the theatres and the shops. Tall promises have been made to take good care of them, outraged at the negligent attitude of the civic authorities, government, and even social service agencies. The poet addresses them as greedy good doers, apparently benefactors, but actually beasts of prey, who exploit the innocent village folk by giving them a short term sense of security. The villagers are not being helped but harmed. Dear students, further the poet says they pay a heavy price by losing their land. These developers, civic authorities with a calculated strategy, soothe silence and befool the unalloyed heart and minds of these villagers by ensuring them a better life and hence good sleep. They actually sleep peacefully themselves and destroy their slumber. Slumber means here sleep with anxiety in the ancient way people used to work during day and sleep in nights, which have been reversed here, where they are not able to sleep at night because they haven't worked in the day. Dear students, let us have the explanation of lines 32 to 43. Destroy their sleeping at night, the ancient way. Sometimes I feel myself I can hardly bear. Here I miss the poet himself. The thought of so much childish longing in vain, the sadness that lurks near the open window there, that waits all day in almost open prayer for the squeal of brakes, squeal the sound of brakes of the vehicle, the sound of a stopping car, of all the thousand selfish cars that pass, just one to inquire what a farmer's prices are, and one did stop but only to plough up grass, in using the yard to back and turn around, and another to ask the way to where it was bound. Dear students, the poet says over here, the poet is distressed. It means very sad. To note the interminable wait on the part of the shed owners for their prospective buyers, he calls it almost a childish longing in vain. The shop window is blanketed with an ambience of sadness that surrounds expectancy. It seems these people yearn for the sound of the car brakes near the shack. Further, the poet says one of the selfish cars, they are not cars are selfish, but the people who are riding in, they are selfish. That pass by the shed has perhaps halted. Halted means here stopped to inquire the farmer's price, while the other just wanted to use the backyard to turn. It is indeed a satire that one of the occupants of the car stops at the shed to get a gallon of gas. It highlights a sense of alienation that exists between the rural and urban life. Unaware of the villagers' plights, plights means here the pain of the villagers, the plight of the villagers, and engrossed with the pleasure of the material world, these people are unable to gauge the glaring difference in city and rural life. Further lines are from 43 to 52. The lines are, let us read out. And another to ask, could they sell it a gallon of gas? They couldn't, this grossly, they had none, didn't it seem? No, in country money, the country scale of gain, the requisite lift of his spirit has never been found, or so the voice of the country seems to complain. I can't help owning the great relief it would be to put these people at one stroke out of their pain. And then next day, as I come back into the scene, I wonder how I should like you to come to me and offer to put me gently out of my pain. So these are the lines. Dear students, let us have the explanation of this stanza. The poet says here that he regrets that the yardstick of gain wasted in money isn't found in the countryside at all. Money, he feels, elevates spirits, and the lack of it dampens the villagers' perspective towards life. They tend to express their grievance about a life bereft of money. Further, he says, at this point of time, the poet is overwhelmed with the emotions and contemplates their pain at one go by changing their lives, but a later logical thought and a poised state of mind tells him the futility of this rash act. It might compel Messiah force him to seek purgation of pain, means relief from pain, from others for his thoughtless decision. Thank you, students.